Hello everyone, welcome to Let's Crack UPSC CSE English. About me, I'm Sandeep Bhushan Thummala. I have 10 years of teaching experience for civil services. I teach international relations and internal security and in-depth of analysis of the editorials and articles which will be helpful for you to crack prelims and mains 2020 as well as 2021. And in my session, throughout my session, I would be emphasizing on the keywords and the key phrases, which will be very useful for identifying the factual and analytical question for prelims point of view. So therefore, my tagline, that is emphasizing on the keywords and the key phrases to identify the factual and analytical question for prelims point of view, and as well as I would make you understand the importance of imbibing the keywords and the key phrases in the answer writing, that is in regards to your mains examination. So definitely your mains examination, your answers would be precise and concise. Why it would be precise and concise? Because you will be into the mode of, after my sessions, you will be into the mode of imbibing the keywords and the key phrases. Thereby your answers would be precise and concise, and once it is precise and concise, you will be definitely scoring high marks in the mains examination. So therefore my session will be helpful in regards to you for scoring more marks in films as well as mains, that is 2020 as well as 2021 also. And before we get into the topic, that is, you have a notification that is in regards to Let's Crack UPSC CS English, which is India's largest learning platform. And once you get subscribed to Unacademy, you will have unlimited live and recorded courses from the India's best educators. And the privileges you get once you subscribe are the daily live classes, live tests and quizzes, and also structured courses and unlimited access to all the live and recorded courses. And these are the educators at Unacademy, which you can also see it on your screen. And in regards to Let's Crack UPSC CS English, the courses offered by Unacademy are economy, geography, current affairs, and all others, which you can see it on your screen. And along with that, you have the other courses like essay writing, internal security, social issues, and all others, which you can also see it on your screen. And in regards to Let's Crack UPSC CSE English subscription, you have 12-month subscription and 24-month subscription, and you can use my code SBT10 where you will get 10% discount. So it's always recommended to go ahead with 24-month subscription, and 12-month subscription, you the price is 44,000, and it's always recommended to go ahead with 24-month subscription, wherein the original price is SB for 64,000. In regards to Let's Crack UPSC CS English, you can use my code SBT10, that is Sandeep Bhushan Thummala 10, wherein you will get, once you use my code, that is you will get 10% discount on the 44,000, that is for 12 months, and for 24 months, which is 64,000, you will get 10% discount, and on 64,000 discount 10%, you will have the discounted price of 57,600. So definitely it's always get better to go ahead with 24-month subscription, which is very important to be in the serious mode of preparation for UPSC. And then please do not forget to use my code SBT10, that is Sandeep Bhushan Thummala 10, while you're subscribing for 12 months or 24-month subscription. And today's topic is in regards to in-depth analysis of the trending editorials and articles, which will be very useful, as I have mentioned, and I'm reiterating once again that we would be emphasizing on the keywords and the key phrases throughout my explanation, which will be very useful for the prelims as well as mains examination. So that wherein you will be benefited right from a lecture till the end of it, you will be benefited by emphasizing the keywords and the key phrases for prelims as well as mains examinations. And before I get into the topic, I would say very good morning to everyone who is in live and also in the live chat, that is Siddharthan, Satya, Abhishek Kumar, Hemant, Pratham, Naresh, all of you, very good. Stability, or else in regards to making sure that whether there would be any kind of situation prevailing in the Persian Gulf countries. So definitely we will look at the geopolitical and also strategic importance of the Persian Gulf. And above all this, we will try to again focus on whether there is any kind of, what you say, US trying to have links, or trying to have links in the sense trying to have its sway or hegemony in the Persian Gulf countries, all the countries. So we will look at all the countries which the US has interfered, and then what was the result and the outcome of the interference of the US into the Persian Gulf. And now whether there is a sense, it is feeling that whether the GCC itself, whether you have we will look at whether GCC is having its relevance and also opaque. So we will try to look at both GCC and also OPEC, whether they are actually having relevance now, or else because of the US interference in the Persian Gulf, what is happening or what is the status of the GCC and also OPEC now in this situation. So definitely we will try to get into the mode, or we will look at the entire scenario in the Gulf, Persian Gulf littoral countries, and we will also focus on what is the evolving transformation, what is that is evolving because of the new situation, and when the new situation is evolving, what is India's ties. We will focus even in regards to the India having its ties or relations or bilateral relations in regards to trade, or in regards to trade also, I mean diplomatically and also trade also, what are the bilateral relations with the Gulf countries, what is the Persian Gulf littoral countries. So definitely we'll try to focus that whether the relations with India with the Persian Gulf countries, whether they are stable enough, and if they are stable enough, that what kind of situation is important, that India has to, what do you say, again create a kind of sense or better relations in the entire Persian Gulf countries. And we will also focus that whether cooperative security is the key for India to again revamp the relations with the Persian Gulf countries or Persian Gulf littoral countries. So now we'll get into the topic. So definitely we know that the Persian Gulf littoral or the countries, or else the Persian Gulf countries are the 8 countries, or what are they? They are Bahrain. You have Bahrain here. You have Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, Oman, Qatar, and then Saudi Arabia, and then United Arab Emirates here. So you have the 8 countries which form the Persian Gulf, and this Persian Gulf name, the body, I mean this definition has been by the United Nations. So United Nations has defined this body of water as the Persian Gulf. So this Gulf is what we are talking about. This Gulf has been, what you say, defined by the United Nations. So this again, what I am saying, trying to say is for the prelims point of view. So the definition of the Persian Gulf, that what is a water body between these countries, between the countries, is the Persian Gulf, and that is being defined by the United Nations. And the 8 countries we have looked at, the Persian Gulf countries, all the countries are the members of the UN, and definitely there is a commonality in the Persian Gulf countries, that is the 8 countries, that is definitely in regards to they are all producers of the crude oil and natural gases. They are all producers of the crude oil and natural gases. So definitely there is a commonality in between all the Persian Gulf countries, which are, what you say, 8 countries. And then there is also an added geopolitical significance. So definitely there is a geopolitical significance in all the Persian Gulf countries, that is 8 countries. That is, at the same time there was turbulence. So definitely when we are talking about the geopolitical significance in the 8 countries, there were turbulence in the sense disturbances which have been characterized because of their inter-state political relations. So definitely the 8 countries, the Persian Gulf 8 countries, because they had that, I mean the turbulence or the disturbances were created, or else the geopolitical significance has been taken up. Geopolitical significance has happened because of the interstate political relations, or definitely the 8 countries, these 8 countries inter country wide relations were not really good, and that was the reason there was the turbulence or disturbances, and there was a geopolitical significance which has arisen in the Persian Gulf, that is Persian Gulf countries, that is the 8 countries. And we will go back little, what do you say, back, not what is happening now. We'll go back to 1970. So we will look at the framework. So what is that? 8 decades prior to 1970, 8 decades prior to 1970 we are going. So almost, what do you say, 80 years before 1970, so almost 1890, this body of water was closely guarded by the British Lake. So definitely the Persian Gulf, what the United Nations has termed that area, that water body of water as the Persian Gulf, was earlier prior to 1970. Prior to 1970 means almost 1890. In 1890, this Persian Gulf was guarded by the British Lake, administered in a, what do you say, by the, it was guarded by the British Lake, and it was administered by whom? By the imperial civil servants of India. This is very, very important. Probably, I mean, many of them we did not get the information anywhere, but because of this article we are definitely getting an information that the Persian Gulf, the so-called then the British Lake, the so-called then the British Lake was administered by the imperial civil servants. Now what all you are preparing is what you say Indian Civil Services or UPSC, then the Imperial Civil Services of India, they have actually administered the British Lake, which is now called as a Persian Gulf in 1890, prior from 1890 to 1970. And that when that era, that is regional players, they definitely wanted what you said to have that assertiveness or dominance over that area, and because of this the rivalry and cooperation became evident. Because of the regional players sought to what you say assert, there was imperatives of rivalry, so there were rivalry and cooperation. So because of that, they wanted to have a sway, or they wanted to have a control over the then British Lake or now Persian Gulf. They were definitely what you say a kind of rivalry which has started, or rivalry between the various countries, or rivalry between the other countries. And this has become very evident that there was a report which has come up because of the rivalry and the cooperation, that they wanted to have a regional regional domination over that area, that is now the British now the Persian Gulf, then the British Lake. So thereby what has happened is, because of this rivalry and cooperation, to have that what is a kind of sway over that area, United States State Department has come up with a report in 1973. So we are looking at the entire what is a timeline. So before 1970, it was called as British Lake, but after that, the regional players, the British Lake, that era has ended, and then regional players sought to have the dominance over that area, and because of that, the rivalries have started between countries, and the cooperation has also started. Because and when this has started, then there was evident that the US, United States State Department, not UN, United States State Department has come up with the report in the 1973, and it has said that the upshot of all these cross currents is that logic of Saudi Iranian cooperation. So we are talking about cooperation, it is Saudi Iran cooperation is being undercut by psychological, nationalistic and prestige factors. So definitely there was a cooperation between the Saudi Arabia and Iran, and because of this, there was a lot of what you say chaos which has started in the area, that is in the Persian Gulf. It is in the Persian Gulf, and we have seen later on that Richard Nixon and also Jimmy Carter, the former president Richard Nixon and Jimmy Carter, have come up with the doctrines, that is the rules and regulations. They have come up with the doctrines, that is the rules and regulations. Why they have come up with the doctrines? That in the area, that is in the Persian Gulf, because they know very well there is a what do you say cooperation which is being developed in the Persian Gulf between the Saudi Arabia and Iranian. So definitely they wanted to break this cooperation, and they wanted to have the hegemony, they wanted to exert their hegemony in the Persian Gulf. That is why the Richard Nixon, that is the former president of US, Richard Nixon, and Jimmy Carter have come up with the doctrines. Why? To ensure the American hegemony in the Persian Gulf region, to ensure the hegemony of the Persian Gulf region. So please do understand that we did talk, the article what we are talking about is ultimately what is that we need to, India's interest in the Persian Gulf, but just not getting into the what the interest of the India in the Persian Gulf, but we will go back right from what you say Persian Gulf, when it was named as or guarded as what is a British Lake, guarded by British Lake or as British Lake. So since 1890 we are going back to 1890, and then 1970, and again 1973, when the United States State Department has come up with a report. And further we have seen the former president of US Richard Nixon and then Jimmy Carter coming up with their doctrines. Why these doctrines? Just to go ahead with ensuring there is an American hegemony in the Persian Gulf. And definitely there was a collective security attempted in a what is a conference in Muscat. So definitely as we could see that the doctrines which have come up by the Richard Nixon and Jimmy Carter, so there was some kind of what you say collective security, with security or the people in the sense the countries of the Persian Gulf were trying to come together, and they had a conference in Muscat. They had a conference in Muscat in the year 1975, and that is the collective security. Collective security in the what you say coming up with all the countries in the Persian Gulf, and that was thwarted in the sense dissatisfied or frustrated by the Baathist Iraq. So you have a party called as a Baathist. Now also you have the Ba'athist party in Iraq. So this has not really, what you say, liked, or it has really frustrated. This was thwarted or dissatisfied, frustrated by the Ba'athist Iraq. So definitely the one which has come up, that is the collective security, to make sure that everyone will be cooperative and then have that collective responsibility and coordination, so that there would not be an American hegemony in the Persian Gulf. And then later on we have seen, so this is the first one, it has come, but did not really work out. And we have seen the Iranian revolutions put an end to the twin pillar. So twin pillar approach and disturb the strategic balance. So definitely, what is this? This is the collective security. They wanted to come up with a collective security in the Persian Gulf, So they were repeatedly trying to make an attempt, so that the Persian Gulf countries will come together, coordinated and cooperation, so that they will make sure that the hegemony of the US will not prevail over the Persian Gulf. But time and again, repeatedly, we could see that something other, what do you say, internal, because I have made a point here that all this has happened because of the, yeah. At the same time, turbulence is often characterized because of the inter se within 8 countries, inter se political relations, and this was, what you say, taken advantage by the US. Inter se political relations. So what is this inter se political relations we are discussing? And then E Planet has joined. Very good morning to you, E Planet. I do not know your name. But very good morning to you. And today we are discussing about the Persian Gulf countries, and the way they had the differences between the countries, and how the differences were taken advantage by the US, or the US former US president, to have hegemony over Persian Gulf. And definitely we are looking at various issues, or various, what do you say, circumstances, which have really caused that inter per se political relations between Persian Gulf, which has, what do you say, not really made them come together as a coordinated and cooperation to put a check on the America's hegemony. So after the Ba'athist party, which was not really happy because of the collective responsibility, and then later on we have seen the Iranian revolution also has disturbed the twin pillar approach, disturbed the entire strategic balance. And then we have seen the Iran-Iraq war, Iran and Iraq war. So this has also, what you say, very clearly made sure that, yeah, Madhu has also joined. Very good morning, Madhu. And then the later on, that is Iran-Iraq war, has also created a kind of sense that yes, now it is very openly clear that the US is trying to have its interest in the role, in the interest in the, or have its role in the Persian Gulf. And then because of this Iran-Iraq war which has happened, what has happened is we have seen much of bloodshed which has taken place because of the Iran-Iraq war. And when this bloodshed has taken place, so next what has happened is the Security Council, that is United Nations Security Council, has come up with a resolution, resolution. Why? Resolution that is 598, which is in the year 1987, because of the Iran-Iraq war, which was a much bloodshed across the Persian Gulf, that is between both the countries. And what was the consequence of this was United Nations Security Council has come up with a resolution, that is 598 resolution in the year 1987. What? To explore the measures to enhance the security and stability in the region. So look at it, as all the countries, that is earlier itself, the collective security was actually planned between the Persian Gulf countries, but that was not really materialized because of the inter-se political relations between the Persian Gulf countries. And later on, after the Iran-Iraq war, because of the much of the bloodshed between both the countries, United Nations Security Council has come up with the resolution, and then they have come up to a measure, to they have come up to explore a measure to what, to enhance, measure to enhance, what to enhance the security and stability in the region. This is very important. So definitely now slowly the US is having its interest or role in the Persian Gulf, Or Satya says, does the twin pillar approach mean cooperation and rivalry among 8 countries? Yes, definitely. See, what we are saying is that cooperation is there, again rivalry is also there. These imperatives of rivalry and cooperation became evident Yes. And as they have come up with the, what you said, to explore the measures to enhance the security and stability in the region. So definitely a framework was come up. So they have come up with a measure, and then after the measure a framework has been taken up to ensure the stability and security in the region. That is, what is that ensuring the stability and security in the region? That is the security for whom, security by whom, security against whom, and security for what purpose. So definitely the framework was designed to make sure that there is a stability and security in the region. That is for whom, by whom, against whom, and for what purpose. So this is very very important. For whom, by whom, for whom, by whom, against whom, and for what purpose. The framework was created by the United Nations Security Council Resolution 598. And is this, now the question is this, what do you say, requirement, or else in regards to the framework, is it for the local, regional, or global terms? Please do understand. So definitely we can understand it is for the global terms. Does it require an extra regional agency? Yes, extra regional agency is the United Nations Security Council, which has come probably because of the advice of the US. Definitely they have come into picture, and then they have come up with the measures for the security and stability. They have come up with the framework for the security and stability, and then that is for whom, by whom, and then for what, and for whose purpose. So definitely whose is now, is it local, regional, or global terms? Yes, definitely it could be for the US hegemony itself. And definitely if we are looking at the historical context, we can recall the what the Saudi scholars have said in the 1990s itself, that the Gulf regional security was an external issue. Please do understand, this is very very clear. As I said, yes, it is by the global terms, it is for the global terms, extra or global terms. Yes, global terms is what, nothing but external issue. What, who wanted to make create an issue? Definitely it is the US hegemony wanted to create an issue so that there would be a rivalry, not a cooperation in the Persian Gulf and Persian Gulf areas. And definitely the essential ingredients, now we will look at the essential ingredients for the framework of the safety and security of the Persian Gulf. So first one is the peace and stability, which they were actually looking at it, and the second one is the freedom for the all the state of the Gulf littoral. That is why this is very very important. This Persian Gulf is very important because of the hydrocarbons, and because of the natural resources, and that freedom was also being mentioned in the framework for the security and stability of the region, and not on the framework of commercial shipping. So they can be a commercial shipping which can be taken place by the 8 countries in the Persian Gulf region, that is the commercial shipping. And then the other one was in regards to the freedom of access to the outlet from Gulf water. So definitely outlet is what here, Strait of Hormuz. This is again very important for prelims point of view. So definitely this, all these countries will have an outlet, freedom of access, it is freedom of access. You have something other called as freedom of navigation also, but here in this agreement, that is freedom of access. So freedom of access was through all these countries will have through this strait called as Strait of Hormuz. This is again very important in regards to the prelims point of view. And definitely the fourth one or the fifth one is the prevention of conflict that may impinge the freedom of trade and shipping. Though definitely as they are part of the Persian Gulf, definitely there would not be any kind of conflict which will impinge in the sense which will disturb the trade and shipping. And then the sixth one was prevention of emergence of condition that will impinge all these considerations. So definitely the sixth one is making sure that there will not be any kind of disturbances created or emergency kind of situation wherein it would create or impinge or disturb all the above considerations. So definitely all this framework was in regards to the self-sustaining or require external guarantee. Now the question is, all this framework, is it for self-sustaining of the Persian Gulf 8 countries, or is it for external guarantee? Please do understand, is it for external guarantee? When we are talking about, definitely it is the US hegemony. Fine. And then now we'll link the GCC and the US link. What can be the status of UN security resolution of ceasefire of Iran in current? Okay, we will look at it. Iran and all that later on we will look at it, and it is part of our discussion. Definitely we will look at it. And in the last past 2 decades, we have seen, as per the person, that is William Fulbright observations, that is, he says that statesmen, that means the kind of US or UN, whenever they come up with the statements, or they are the statesmen, often confused. He says that they are confused between the great power with total power. They confuse great power with total power. Please go ahead with this keyword or key phrase in your answer sheet, or sorry, in your book or in your paper. He says that the statesmen or the great, leaders, the world leaders, you can say, the statements in the sense leaders or the world leaders, they confuse great power with total power, great power with total power. And they also confuse great responsibility with total responsibility, great responsibility with total responsibility. So please do understand, there are two keywords that he says, William Fulbright says that the statements or the global leader confuse with great power with total power, great responsibility with total responsibility. And now we will start up the link between the GCC and the US. So definitely we have seen the war in Iraq. When we have seen the war in Iraq, it was creating a kind of situation, what is to be testified, or what will be the outcome of the entire war. So definitely the US efforts to contain, as one was, we have seen the Iraq war, we have seen recently on the Kuwait, fine, and then the Revolution Forces, wherein the US was trying to contain the Iran Revolution Forces, so that they have supplemented by the effort of the Arab states of the littoral. So definitely you have the Arab states of the littoral, that is, except Arab states of the littoral, that is the Arab states of Persian Gulf, means except or minus Persian Gulf, minus the Iraq are the Arab states. So that is called as the Gulf Cooperation Council, and this has come up in the year 1981. So definitely now we are looking at the one is minus from the Persian Gulf, that is Iran is been excluded, and then we have seen that kind of Iranian revolution forces, which, or else Iran revolution, which has taken place in Iran. And then we have seen that kind of situation which has arisen, and they have come up with the instrumentality or forming the GCC, that is the Gulf Cooperation Council, in the year 1981. Why? To coordinate, to cooperate, and to integrate. To coordinate, to cooperate, and integrate, to serve the objectives of Arab nations. So definitely the Gulf Cooperation Council was minus Iran in the year 1981. It was to make sure that to coordinate, cooperate, and integrate, to serve the sublime in the sense inspiring Arab nations. So definitely they were in regards to making sure that they will have more of geopolitical factors and conflicts elsewhere. So definitely we have seen, apart from these Arab nations, if you look at the other side of it, that is in the Yemen, Syria, and Libya. So if you look at here, we if you look at here, yeah, you have Yemen, you have Syria, and then here you have Libya. So definitely there are other conflicts which were in Yemen, Syria, or even in Libya. You have the, or is a northern African continent countries, Libya. So Libya is Muhammad Gaddafi was there. Iraq, Saddam Hussein was there. So we have seen the kind of geopolitical factors or the conflicts which we have seen even in West Asian countries, that is Yemen, Syria, and Libya, and this has aggravated the global and regional relationship. So definitely the kind of Arab nation entry, or else in regards to the GCC in 1981, and again in regards to the conflicts in the Yemen, Syria, and Libya, have actually created the global and regional relations. So definitely whenever there is rivalry or whenever there is cooperation, you will have the global or regional relationship, which will surge or which will hamper, which will surge, aggravated, it is aggravating, and it is hampering a modus vivendi, that is in US the Iran relations. So definitely we have seen this. We have seen the kind of US trying to have some kind of an enmity towards Iran, and we have seen recently US president, the former US president Barack Obama, has tried to come up with an Iran nuclear deal, that is with P5 plus 1 countries. Barack Obama has tried to come up with the Iran nuclear deal, that is P5 plus 1 countries, but prior to him it was George W. Bush. George W. Bush, wherein he was not really happy with the Iran's nuclear program. But Barack Obama did try to conceal a deal, that is Iran nuclear deal, that is with the P5 plus 1 countries. P5 plus 1 countries. But we have seen again Donald Trump, he was not really happy with the P5 plus 1 countries that they have come up with the Iran nuclear deal, and then he has again pulled out of the Iran nuclear deal. So definitely there is a hampering of a relationship between the US and Iran. There is a hampering of relationship between the US and Iran because of the geopolitical factors in Yemen, because of the geopolitical factors in Syria and Libya. So definitely we can see Iran sending its forces supporting Syria and supporting Yemen also. Syria and Yemen also, and Libya also. So definitely this has created a kind of dent between the US and Iran relationship, and that is why we have looked at from George W. Bush how he was not happy with the Iran nuclear program by the Iranians. Later on Barack Obama has come to the terms, and then he has concluded the P5 plus with the P5 plus 1 countries Iran nuclear deal. But later on we have also seen again that Donald Trump was not happy with the Iran nuclear deal, which says that it is not really helping the US, but it is really helping the Iran itself. And the perceptions of the declining US commitment to sub-regional security. So definitely there is a decline of the US commitment, which has actually started, or it has rised in the sub-regional security, that is in the Persian Gulf or in the Arab nations, which has, or else with the GCC countries. The kind of commitment the US was actually being taken up to the sub-regional security, because it has actually come up with the security and stability in the Persian Gulf region. They have come up with the framework. Who has come up? Not US, but the United Nations Security Council has come up. But where is the stability? Where is the security? Where is the sub-regional security also? Where is the stability? Where is the security? And where is the sub-regional security in the area, that is in the Persian Gulf, you can say Arab nations, or else even with the Gulf Cooperation Council. So definitely there is a disquiet between the members of the GCC because of the security councils, which remains pivoted on the Iranian threat. So definitely, as we have said, there is not very good relations between US and Iran. As we have said, Yemen, Syria and Libya, the issues, geopolitical issues which have been taken up within the countries, have created a dent to the modus operandi between the US and Iran. And this is because of the political and ideological differences in the territorial areas. And definitely this is the American insurance, or America's not being trying to be committed, will deter in the sense it will create a kind of disturbances in the entire regions, that is in the interest of the oil trade, arms purchase, and definitely it will have a role with the wider US regional and global determinants. So definitely the GCC, which is important or prominent in regards to the oil, or its trade, or in regards to the arms purchase, now because with the US, so definitely it will have a kind of security concerns which are pivoted because of the Iranian threat. And now we will look at the evolving transformation. So definitely what we have seen all this, so definitely there is a transformation which is happening. So there is an evolving transformation which is happening in the Persian Gulf region. And this is evident because of the common threat of GCC, which is common threat or common GCC threat perception has not evolved over time, has been hampered by the emergence of conflicting tactical and strategic interests subject to consideration. So definitely within the GCC or the Persian Gulf regions, we have seen, or else the Arab nations, we have seen that there is definitely the relations have been hampered by the emergence of conflicting within itself, as we have seen initially also in the Persian Gulf in the 1970s, or then the same kind of situation is now being hampered within the GCC, PG, and then Arab nations. So definitely this is a kind of strategic interest, or it is a subjective consideration. So definitely yes, it is a strategic interest of US, it is a subjective consideration of US which is actually coming up with the new evolving transformation which is happening in the GCC, PG, and then Arab nations. And definitely these relations which have been hampered have been aggravated, and this is aggravating because of the global economic crisis. So definitely now the situation is very grim, because we have seen the kind of, what do you say, interstate political relations or differences between the PG, Persian Gulf, GCC, Gulf Cooperation Council, and also in regards to the Arab nations. So that added to that, all that a new is arising, that is global economic crisis has arisen because of the COVID-19 pandemic situation. COVID-19 pandemic situation and on regional economies and the problem. So definitely the global economic crisis because of the COVID, we know very clearly it will create lot of economic problems in the GCC, within the Persian Gulf, within the Arab nations. So definitely now the concern what we have tried to focus is that it is making sure that the entire issue is now aggravated. Economic issues have been aggravated regionally, that is within the GCC, within the Persian Gulf, within the urban nations, and that will definitely is adding even to the OPEC countries, Why? Because we have seen recently in the month of March, second week or first week or second week, we have seen Saudi Arabia and Russia, they were not really happy to cut down the output of the crude oil. So because of that, the prices have come down. Because of that, the prices have been declined. So that is, I'm just giving an information because of the Saudi Arabia and the Russia, which has not gone. But later on, again in the month of April, we have seen, because on the sidelines of the G20 summit, the Saudi Arabia did try to, pacify Russia, and then both Saudi Arabia and Russia have cut short the oil production, and now the oil prices are coming to a, better stabilization. And we have also seen that the other futures, the one is now the recent evolving trend is the global economic crisis because of the COVID-19, and the other one is because of the Saudi Arabia is fading away its power in the Persian Gulf. The Saudi Arabia's power is fading away. Please do understand, the Saudi Arabia's power is fading away, and we have seen UAE, Qatar, and Iran are emerging. So please look at it. There is lot of, interpersonal relations. Because of that, there is lot of geopolitical, regional geopolitical situations are changing. And because of that, Saudi Arabia is losing or fading away its power, and then UEA, that is United Arab Emirates, and then Qatar, and then in regards to Iran, are actually, gaining, or they are emerging. So definitely there is a sense that what will happen to the OPEC and GCC itself. What will happen to the OPEC and GCC? So if you look at here, UAE and then Qatar and Iran are emerging, and there are new regional leaders. That is, the new regional leaders are Oman and Iraq. Will have to struggle to retain their sovereign identity. So definitely the Oman and Iraq are the one which are still trying to retain their sovereignty identity in the Gulf countries. And now we will look at the GCC is effectively ended. I was talking about initially in the first page, I was talking about this GCC and OPEC, whether there is a relevance for the GCC and the OPEC because of the interstate personal relations in the Persian Gulf countries, because of the rivalry and because of the cooperation, because of the United Nations Security Council framework, that is for the stability and the security in the region, which has created a lot of, a kind of situation where there is a total revamp of the powers in the Persian Gulf, that is creating of the GCC and then Arab nations, and then Iran revolutions, and we have seen Iraq war, and then later on we have seen United Nations Security Council coming up with the resolution 598, and then with the framework, and we have seen all the 6 frameworks, and then the GCC with the US link, how it is actually trying to dent the relations between US and Iran because of the regional conflicts in the Yemen, Syria, and Libya. And now we have looked at that GCC is effectively ended. Please do understand, and OPEC is becoming irrelevant, as oil policy moves to a tripartite global continuum. So definitely the what I was talking about the Persian Gulf, as it is rich in the hydrocarbons and natural gas, now slowly the OPEC is losing its relevance. So OPEC countries, we can look at it here: Iran, Kuwait, UAE, Saudi Arabia, Libya, Iraq, Algeria, Venezuela, Indonesia. So definitely now they are definitely getting into the mode of losing its relevance. And with the Arab League entombed in the sense almost it is what you say laid down in the tomb. That is, it is rested. And the GCC is a life support system, a life support system. That is, it is not running on its own, GCC. And the Arab states of the sub-regions are left to individual devices. So definitely there is some kind of what you say interpersonal relations. So definitely the Arab League has become almost a dormant one, which is almost what you say lying idle, or it has taken rest. GCC is on the life support system, and Arab states are in regards to the what you say they have their individual devices to explore working arrangements with the Iraq and Iran. So definitely they are trying to have the relations being developed with the Iraq and Iran. So definitely we have seen the kind of entire situation of Persian Gulf right from 1890 to 1970, again 1973, again 1981, the formation of GCC, and again Iraq war or Iran revolution. Fine. Again, in regards to the what we have seen, the kind of framework agreement, and the way the GCC is losing its sheen, and the Arab leagues, Arab states, and also the OPEC is losing its relevance. And with Iran, particularly notwithstanding its animosity, that is with the dislikes of the past, that is they wanted to come up with the practical approaches of the recent months seems to bear fruit. So definitely Iran is coming up with a new concept. Iran is coming up with a new concept, or new what do you say pragmatic or practical approaches, So definitely Iran is coming up with a new approaches in the entire what do you say the US Iran relations. When we focus again here, definitely there is a kind of new approach taken up by the Iran in regards to a pragmatic or a practical approaches in the recent months what we have seen, and it is bearing a fruit little bit. What Iran thinks so. And Oman has kept its line of communication open with Iran. So definitely there is a relation between Oman and Iran. And then in regards to the Kuwait and Qatar, they have done likewise, but it is quite a while now. And the UAE has initiated a pragmatic arrangement. So definitely we have seen that Qatar and Kuwait, they are actually what you said almost now little bit of Kuwait. They are Kuwait, and then UAE is also has come up with a new pragmatic or initiated a pragmatic arrangement, that is a practical or rational the way the Iran is actually going ahead with. And this could set a wider dialogue. So definitely when all the countries, I mean within the countries of the Persian Gulf are coming up with the different approaches, so this will set a wider dialogue. Please do understand, this is very very important, because everyone is coming up with their own what do you say approaches or new pragmatic or practical approaches, that is Oman, Iran, Kuwait, Iraq, Qatar, UAE, Yemen, all this, when they are coming up with a new, that there is an emergence of the wider dialogue. And both Iran and GCC would benefit from all this what I have said about the all the recent one. So definitely that every outside nation has a trading and economic interest in Gulf. So definitely we know that now the Iran and GCC will definitely be benefited, because GCC, when we are talking about all the GCC, all the other countries, various countries in the GCC and various countries with other countries having what you say trading and economic interest with the GCC countries, wherein again Iran and both GCC are coming together, and in this entire scenario or entire geopolitical strategy or situation, Iraq and GCC will be benefited, and this could be sanctified by a global convention. So definitely there would be a global convention. What is the global convention? That there would be an alternative of exclusive security arrangement. So we have looked at the security and stability United Nations Security Council framework, but now there would be a global convention on what? Exclusive security arrangement. So this is a new concept, new one which will be coming up, that is the global convention in regards to having a kind of cooperation between the Persian Gulf and the Arab nations and the GCC and also Iran, that is excluding Iran. There would be a new exclusive security arrangements. This is very important. Why? To promote the armament drive, that is to have the purchase and sale of the defense equipment, and this will enhance the insecurity and aggravates regional tension. So definitely when there is a promotion of the armament drives, please do understand, when there is a promotion of armament drives, that will create a kind of, what you say, insecurity. When there is a promotion of armaments in the sense sale of, purchase and sale of defense equipment or defense arms, so definitely will create insecurity in the region and it will aggravate the regional tensions. So this is again a kind of, what is a situation which will open the door unavoidably, that is the great power interference. So definitely again, because of the situation, there is a kind that there would again US been interfering, as the Jimmy Carter and then Richard Nixon has come up with the doctrines, have come up with the doctrines in the 1981 with the framework agreement. The same way, because of the armament drives or with the global convention or with the alternative of, for the exclusive security arrangement, because of this it will promote the armament drives, that is section, and by that what will happen is it will enhance the insecurity, that is it will enhance insecurity and also it will create or aggravate regional tensions, and thereby there would be a global power interference. Please do understand, this is very very important. There would be a global power interference, and that will really create a kind of sense what again the US hegemony will definitely have its way over the Persian Gulf once again. And now we will look at what is that India will have its ties at this juncture, or it was earlier also, and what it will have it now. So definitely India perceives how do they impact our strategic interest. So definitely whatever we have looked at the strategic and stability concerns or the frameworks of the Persian Gulf, GCC, OPEC, and Arab League nations or Arab states, how does it impact the strategic interest and concerns of India? Strategic interest and concerns, better keyword, strategic interest and concerns of India is the question mark. Now we will look at that. So definitely the Persian Gulf littoral with reference to India is an exercise in geography and history. So definitely we will look at how geographically and historically we have relations with the Persian Gulf littoral countries. So from Mumbai to Basra we have this nautical miles of the distance, and from Bandar Abbas to Dubai there is the radius of 1,000 nautical miles. So definitely this is a kind of, what you say, geographical distance what we are having from India to the Persian Gulf countries. And the bilateral relations, if you look at the bilateral relations and the economic or the political with the GCC has been very very good, has been blossomed or has been very very good in the recent years. So the bilateral relations, economic or political relations, or the relations with the Gulf cooperation countries has really been in the recent years blossomed, or it has been very very good. And if we look at, definitely it is the governments of the Persian Gulf. Governments of the Persian Gulf are definitely are India friendly and Indian friendly. They're India friendly and Indian friendly, and they're definitely both of them are being benefited. But that is India with the Persian Gulf countries and Persian Gulf countries with India are being benefited. And definitely when we look at the bilateral trade between the India and the Persian Gulf, we have a bilateral trade between both the countries, that is 121 billion US dollars, and the remittances. This is in regards to the trade, and we have the remittances. Remittances means the amount of money which comes because the Indians diaspora who have saved their income, they're saving, that they will send to India, and that is in regards to the what it comes back to India is the 49 billion US dollars, wherein the diaspora or the workforce in the Persian Gulf region is 9 million people, and because of this 9 million people, the workforce of the diaspora, the remittances which come back to India is 49 billion US dollars. So definitely trade, political, and then India friendly or Indian friendly is definitely has blossomed between India and Persian Gulf countries. And in regards to the GCC, yes, definitely we know that 34% of the crude oil imports, what India does is from the GCC, or GCC supplies 34% of our crude imports, what we actually want. And national oil companies, that is in Saudi Arabia and Abu Dhabi, our companies are having a partner with the 44 billion US dollars. So definitely we are going ahead with the import of the crude oil imports of 34% of the GCC supplies is towards India, and then the national oil companies, that is India's national oil companies in Saudi Arabia and Abu Dhabi, are definitely partnering in the total deal of 44 billion investments in the giant, that is Ratnagiri oil refinery. So the Ratnagiri oil refinery has the entire Saudi Arabia and Abu Dhabi companies, their companies, national companies, have their investments in the Ratnagiri oil refineries, which is almost close to 44 billion US dollars, 44 billion US dollars. And Saudi company, that is Aramco, has 20% stake in the Reliance oil to chemical business. So definitely Reliance oil to chemical business, you have the Aramco Saudi companies which has 20% stake. So why are we talking about all this? Yes, definitely because of the bilateral trade which India and Persian Gulf countries has close to 121 billion US dollars, is a very big amount. And then the relations are very good. And the current adverse, that is the pandemic situation, because of these economic relations with the GCC countries, India and GCC countries have, what do you say, come to a little standstill because of the COVID-19 or COVID-19 pandemic situation. So definitely apart from that, there is a very good relations, that is the bilateral trade, political and economic relations between India and the GCC countries, or India and Persian Gulf countries, are very good. And then it has been blossomed, and we have seen the entire 121 billion US dollars with the GCC countries. And if you look at the other countries which are part of, what you say, GCC or the Persian Gulf countries, that is Iran. If you look at Iran, has neighbors with Turkey. Iran is neighboring Turkey. So we know that there is not much of good relations between Iran and Turkey, because you have something called as Houthi rebels, and also you have the in Iraq, Iran also, Iran, Syria, and you have the Turkey, you have this indigenous that is Kurds and Houthis, and these are really creating problems to the Turkey. So definitely the neighboring countries, that is Iran and Turkey, are being disturbed, especially Turkey is being disturbed by the Kurds and the Houthi rebels. Houthi rebels. And not only that, some countries of Central Asian, they are also, Iran is also having its borders with the Central Asian countries and the Caspian Sea region. So definitely the kind of Iran has its proximity with the Central Asian countries, with the Turkey and also the Caspian Sea regions. That is because of its size, politico, technological potential and economic resources cannot be wished away regionally and globally, but can be harnessed for wider good. So definitely, why are we talking about that is because the amount of proximity what Iran has with Turkey, Central Asian countries, Caspian Sea regions, and also in regards to the political, technological potential what they have and the economic resources what they have, India cannot, what you say, wish away, or they cannot try to be regionally and globally away from Iran, because Iran is very important, because we also have seen that the Chabahar port, India is going ahead with the investment in the Chabahar port, wherein through the Iran, from the Chabahar port, through the Iran, India can get into Afghanistan, and further India can get into Central Asian countries, further into Russia or Eurasia itself. So that is from north to south corridor, we will have the connectivity of north-south corridor from the Iran. So that is why being the what do you say, Persian Gulf countries, India has to definitely maintain a very good relations and the ties with the Iran especially. And that is why because we have the link, keeping away Pakistan and having the road to the Afghanistan, having trade with Afghanistan, Central Asian countries, Russia, that is from north to south corridor can be developed. And India has avoided a shunned involvement in the local and regional disputes. So definitely because of all this, it is always better to keep away, India to keep away from the regional or local disputes. And India's interest do not entail, that is, do not demand power projection. So definitely India is not going ahead with any kind of, what is a power projection, that is not having any kind of, what you say, internal interference. India doesn't want to have or doesn't want to sway any internal interference or kind of have any power projections in the Persian Gulf countries, in the Persian Gulf littoral countries, definitely. But what it is wanting is, it wants totality, it wants peace and regional stability, it wants freedom of navigation, it wants freedom of navigation and access to regions market. Why? Because we are definitely in regards to the bilateral trade, which is very good, 120 billion US dollars in terms of trade, technology and manpower. So why manpower? Again, we are talking about the diaspora. When we are talking about diaspora, it is in regards to remittances which come back to India, that is 9 million workforce which is in the Persian Gulf countries, or especially the Gulf Cooperation Council countries. So definitely India should always, or India is definitely, what is India's interest is, India's interest is not in regards to the power projection, but it is necessitated in their totality, peace and regional stability. We wanted peace and regional stability in the Persian Gulf countries because we wanted the freedom of navigation even in the Persian Gulf, and also the Strait of Hormuz, wherein there could be a very good communication, wherein they can have that exit or open. They can get into various other countries or into the rest of the waters, and access to regions market. So definitely these are the areas wherein India is looking at, also in regards to technology and the manpower. So definitely India is focusing on the areas which is not as in tandem with the US, the way it has gone ahead with the global entry, or it's having its US hegemony, the way it has gone ahead earlier with the uh, Richard Nixon or Jimmy Carter, and also we have seen George W. Bush, and again Donald Trump, the way he is actually going ahead with him, has imposed the economic sanctions once again onto Iran, and that is what it is happening. But India is going ahead with a very different approach. And conclusion is, India's interest would be best served if this stability is ensured through cooperative security. Why cooperative security we are talking about? The Persian Gulf countries, that is eight countries should have together cooperative security. So India is looking at the, what do you say, stability ensured through cooperative security, since the alternative, that is competitive security options, cannot ensure durable peace. So definitely it should be cooperative security, but it should not be competitive security option. Please do understand, these are very important key phrases, very important key phrases. If you can, what do you say, imbibe them in your answer, that what is important, the India's interest is that there has to be a stability in the Persian Gulf countries, the way there is instability right from, what you say, 1970s or 73s, and then till now also, the kind of what you say, Iran US, the relations are there is no stability in the area because of, again, Iran trying to have some kind of enmity with Turkey, with also in regards to the US. So definitely this should not be a competitive security option, but it should be a cooperative security, and that is what is very important. The conclusion is very good, very important, that India needs, or India's interest in the Persian Gulf littoral countries would be served only when there is a stability ensured, or stability in that region, and the stability should be in the form of cooperative security, but not in the form of competitive security options, and the question for you for the day, please don't mind the my phone has been switched off once again. I cannot take, because right from 7:30 I'm totally into the live chat. So please do not mind that my phone is switched off. I am unable to take your questions. But do take my question. I'm unable to take up your questions or your what do you say, doubts. But do take this question for the day. The current adverse impact of the pandemic. The current adverse impact of the pandemic on India's economic political relations with the GCC countries is best served if stability is ensured through cooperative security. Discuss. Very good question. The current adverse impact of the pandemic linking it with the what do you say GCC or the Persian Gulf region. We are linking it with the what do you say pandemics on India's economic and political relations. Please do understand India's economic and political relations with GCC countries is best served with what step if stability is ensured through cooperative security, what we have discussed here. So I frame the question which I feel you will be comfortable, not only comfortable feeling comfortable, but it is what you say very important. I feel very important. Discuss. Fine. So I hope this was very important knowledgeable session for you. So go ahead with liking the video before you log off or log out of the YouTube channel. Please share it, subscribe the Let's Crack UPSC CS English, and then go ahead with subscription. And while you are subscribing for 12 or 24-month subscription, use my code SBT10, that is Sandeep Bhushan Thummala 10, wherein you will get 10% discount on 12 months and 24-month subscription. And if you haven't downloaded the Unacademy Learners app, please do download and be part of the Unacademy special classes, wherein you will have all the courses and by all the educators. So definitely you will be benefited once you download the Unacademy Learners app, and also have access to the UPSC CSE English in 10 minutes, which is a new channel, and the Telegram link for Let's Crack UPSC CSE English is Let's Crack UPSC CSE English. And then I would say thank you and all the best, and do connect me with me, that is with the telegram link, that is t.me/Sandeep Bhushan SBT, t.me/Sandeep Bhushan SBT. And you can also WhatsApp or message to my number, that is through WhatsApp, my WhatsApp number. You can message any queries or any doubts in regards to the examination or to the topics. You can message on my WhatsApp number, that is 9292003211. And today I will be part of the Unacademy plus classes. Today I would be part of the Unacademy plus classes from 1 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. 1 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. Unacademy plus classes 1 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. So thank you very much. I'm extremely sorry. My phone has been switched off, so I cannot take any calls. I mean, any or you say your doubts or your questions. See you tomorrow again at 7:30 a.m. in regards to the analysis of the Hindu newspaper. Analysis of the Hindu newspaper. See you tomorrow morning at 7:30. Thank you and all the best for your preparation, that is 2020 as well as 2021. Both 2020 prelims, 2021 prelims, 2020 prelims, 2021 mains also.